Noah lived alone in a weathered two-bedroom house at the edge of nowhere, a stretch of cracked road curling through trees like an old scar. His closest neighbor was 4 miles away. That was how he liked it. Just him and Max, his German shepherd. He was 10 years old and a little slower these days, but sharp as ever. The two of them shared a rhythm. Morning coffee, an afternoon walk along the overgrown trail out back, and most evenings spent in front of the TV while Max sprawled across the worn rug like a retired soldier. When night fell, Noah always did the same thing. Turned off the porch light, let Max out to do his business, waited a few minutes, and let him back in and locked the door behind him. Routine was a comfort, and comfort for Noah was hard won. That Thursday night was no different. The air outside had that thick pre-storm stillness, and Noah stood by the door in his socks, sipping lukewarm tea, while Max trotted out the yard. Porch light on, bugs danced under the glow. Noah yawned and scratched his jaw, listening to the silence only broken by cicadas and the distant groan of tree limbs. He didn't even hear Max return at first, just felt the cold nose bump against his leg. "Hey boy," he murmured, stepping inside to let him in. Max walked past him, head low, and Noah reached down automatically to ruffle his ears. That's when he noticed his collar was gone. The red nylon one with the silver tag was missing. Noah frowned and glanced outside, but saw nothing. Maybe it got caught on something in the woods. He shrugged it off, locked the door, and followed Max down the hall towards the bedroom. Noah awoke around 2:30 a.m., not sure why. The room was dark, and the fan on his dresser spun with a soft ticking sound. He lay there for a moment, eyes half closed, waiting to drift off again. Then he heard it. A faint scratching sound, not sharp, not frantic, just a steady, papery rhythm. Scratch, scratch, scratch. He sat up slowly. It was coming from the back of the house. Max wasn't in the room. That wasn't unusual. Sometimes he wandered to the living room in the night, especially when the bedroom got too warm. The scratching came again. Noah swung his legs over the bed, bones aching in that dull way they did when the weather was about to turn. He pulled on his hoodie, shuffled into the hallway, followed the sound. When he reached the kitchen, he froze. There was a shape on the other side of the back door, just behind the frosted glass. He flipped on the porch light. Max stood there. His coat was damp with dew, mud on his paws, tail wagging gently. Around his neck was the red nylon collar, the one that had been missing earlier. Noah's hand hovered on the door handle. He looked back towards the living room. Nothing. Just the hum of the fridge and the clock above the sink ticking like always. He unlocked the door and opened it, and Max trotted in. Noah blinked in confusion. "Didn't I let you in already?" he muttered. Max gave a soft huff and nudged past him, padding down the hallway with heavy steps. Noah rubbed his eyes, confused, still half asleep. As he turned towards the bedroom, a shape caught his eye. There, curled on top of the blanket, was Max, fast asleep. Noah didn't move for a long moment. The hallway stretched between him and the bedroom, still and dim. The dog on the bed hadn't stirred. Its chest rose and fell with a slow, deep rhythm. He turned slightly, looked behind him. The other Max, the one he had just let in, stood in the hallway halfway to the living room, watching him, its head tilted just enough to feel wrong. Noah's mouth felt dry. He stepped backward into the kitchen and reached for the light switch. The brightness felt harsh. The second Max blinked, then walked to the living room rug and laid down, resting its head on its paws like it belonged there. Noah stood between them, not speaking. A dozen things ran through his mind. Sleepwalking, a weird dream, maybe the first Max had gotten out somehow and come back, but none of it explained the collar, or the way the second one had come in like it expected to be there. He inched back towards the bedroom. The first Max still lay there, curled exactly as he had been before. When Noah stepped close, His ear twitched. A quiet, familiar sound came from his throat. That grumbling sigh Max always made in his sleep. Noah crouched beside. He looked real, felt real. He smelled like the dog bed and cedar shampoo. This was Max. So what the hell had he let inside? He crept back to the living room. The second Max lay on the rug, watching the television screen, which was off. It didn't react to his footsteps. He stared for a long time, then said softly, "Max?" The dog looked up. So did the one in the bedroom. Noah stepped back, the word caught in his throat. The dog's head responded the same way, a single lift of the head, the same turn of the ears, like synchronized reflections, the kind of thing you wouldn't notice if you weren't looking closely, but now he was. He felt cold. He walked to the living room and stood over the one on the rug. It looked up at him, calm, tail giving a slow thump against the floorboards. Its eyes were brown and tired, just like Max's had always been. There was nothing hostile in its expression, no obvious threat, but there was something else, something hollow behind the stare. Noah moved to the kitchen, filled a bowl with water, and set it on the floor. "Here," he said. His voice cracked. "Drink." The dog blinked at him, stared at the bowl. After a long pause, it leaned forward and took one sip, then another, slow, deliberate, almost like he was mimicking the motion, not feeling the thirst. In the hallway behind him, claws tapped the wood. The first Max had come out of the bedroom. He sniffed the air, gave a low whine, and approached cautiously. His hackles weren't up, but Noah could see the tension in his legs. He stared at the other dog without moving closer. Noah stood between them, heart pounding. One of them was his dog. The other was something else. But they looked identical. They moved the same. They smelled the same as far as he could tell. "Okay," he muttered, mostly to himself. "Okay, we're not doing this at 3 in the morning." He backed away, grabbed his keys off the counter, and slowly made his way to the front door. He didn't know what else to do. Noah stepped onto the front porch, the night air cool against his face. The porch light flickered once, then steadied. Crickets chirped in the dark, steady and indifferent. He leaned against the rail and stared out into the trees, thinking. Maybe he was dreaming. Maybe he had a stroke and this was what confusion felt like. 2 dogs, both claiming the same space. One of them responding just slightly wrong, the other acting normal. Maybe too normal. He rubbed his forehead. His hands were shaking. Behind him, he heard the soft pad of paws on hard wood. He turned. Both dogs had followed him to the threshold. They stood side by side, almost touching. One had the red collar, the other didn't. They looked up at him, not moving past the doorway, as if waiting for permission. Max had always waited like that. He never stepped outside without being told. Noah looked from one to the other. The one without the collar sat first, calm, tail curled neatly around its side. The other followed half a second later, mimicking the posture. Noah's skin prickled. He didn't know which one was doing the copying. The collar should have helped, but now it was just making things worse, because he already accepted the one without it. He stared at them for a long time, then walked back inside, brushing past both dogs. They turned as he moved, following him with their eyes. He didn't look back. He went into the bathroom and locked the door behind him, sat on the closed toilet lid, palms on his knees, and stared at the floor. They were both in his house. One real, one not, and he had no idea which was which. Noah didn't sleep well. He dozed with the bathroom light on, sitting upright, door locked. Once or twice he heard movements in the hall, slow pacing, nails clinking across the floor wood, then silence. When the sun rose pale and cold through the bathroom window, he finally opened the door. Both dogs were gone. He stepped into the hallway cautiously, every nerve taut. The house smelled like dog and dust. Nothing was out of place. The water bowl in the kitchen was empty. The front door was still locked. Then he spotted them. Max, or both of them, were lying together in the living room, curled up like twins at the base of the sofa, heads on each other's shoulders, breathing in unison. Noah stopped in the doorway and stared. The one with the collar was on the left, or maybe the right. He wasn't even sure anymore. His mind felt frayed, as if the thread of logic had come loose during the night and unraveled while he wasn't watching. He cleared his throat. Both dogs looked up at him. "I need you to do something," he said, voice raw from disuse. He walked into the kitchen, opened the drawer, and took out Max's favorite ball, a rubber one chewed up on one side. He held it up. "Max," he said, "you want it?" They both stood up, ears up, tails still, no movement. Then one of them took a step forward, slowly, almost hesitantly. Noah tossed the ball down the hallway. One dog bolted after it, claws skidding on the floor. The other remained, staring at him. Then, after a few seconds, it ran too. Both returned with a ball. Noah froze in the doorway, watching both dogs drop a ball at his feet. Their tongues hung in loose, identical smiles, panting, tails wagging in mirrored rhythm. He reached down, slowly picked up one of the balls. One of them barked softly, just once. The sound was off. Not wrong exactly, but hollow, like it had been copied without understanding the tone behind it. He looked at that one. The way it blinked felt studied, too timed, a second too late, as if it was reacting to his expectations, not to him. He threw the ball again. This time neither moved right away. Then, simultaneously, they both darted down the hallway again, jostling each other, bumping shoulders, one yipping as the other cut it off. Noah watched from the doorway, fingers tight around the edge of the counter. He felt like he was going crazy. He sat on the edge of the bed while the pair curled near the dresser, their bodies mirroring each other again. He tried whistling the special two-note sound Max had always come running to. Both dogs perked up. Both came trotting over. One licked his hand, the other rested its chin on his knee. He couldn't tell which one did which. When night fell, Noah left the bedroom door open. He sat in the living room with all the lights on, remote in hand, not watching the screen. Each dog slept near the fireplace, curled in silence. He didn't sleep. Around 2 a.m., Noah heard a noise. Not the scratching this time, something quieter, a creak. He opened his eyes. Though he hadn't really been asleep, the television was still on, sound low, casting dim blue light across the room. The dogs were gone. He sat up, stiff from hours on the couch. The room felt heavier than before, as if something in the house had shifted, something small but essential. The silence was wrong. He strained his ears. A soft clink, like nails tapping ceramic. He got up and moved slowly down the hall. The light from the TV stretched ahead of him in long, pale streaks. The water in the bowl in the kitchen was empty again. He turned toward the bedroom. The door was mostly closed. Noah nudged it open with the side of his foot, heart hammering against his ribs. Only one dog was in the room. It lay in the middle of the bed, curled in Max's usual spot, one paw tucked under, tail draped over its hind legs. Its breathing was steady, familiar. He whispered, "Max?" The dog didn't move. He took a step closer. Then he heard it, the faintest shuffle behind him. He turned sharply. The other Max stood at the end of the hallway, watching him, eyes wide and uncomfortably still. Every detail was perfect, but something in the posture made Noah's stomach turn. The way it held its mouth too still, the way its head didn't tilt when it saw him. Noah backed into the room, one asleep on the bed and one in the hallway. His mind reeled. He had let it in days ago. Now he didn't know which one, but he was trapped in here with both. That night, Noah didn't let either of them out. He sat by the door with the bolt drawn, lights off, one hand wrapped around the fireplace poker, not because he thought it would help, but because it gave his fingers something to hold besides fear. Dogs didn't protest. They sat across the room, side by side, calm, silent. Every now and then one would tilt its head, then the other would mirror it. Max had never sat so still for so long. Noah sat awake, his mind racing. Around 3 a.m., one of the dogs stood and walked to the back door. It scratched once, lightly like the first night. He didn't move. It scratched again, a little louder. From the living room, the second dog stood, but it didn't follow. It just watched. Watched others scratch at the door. Watched Noah watch it. He felt like he was in a room of mirrors, only some of the reflections were just a second too late. One of them was his dog. The other had been here for days. It had eaten, slept, watched him with his own dog's face. Maybe Max is gone. Maybe Max had never come back. The scratching stopped. The dog at the door turned and looked at him and smiled. It was slight, not with its mouth, but something behind its eyes, a folding of skin at the corners, a subtle change in posture, not joy, not friendliness, recognition. Noah stood, the poker slipping from his grip. It clanged on the floor. Both dogs turned toward him now. The one at the door wagged its tail, slow and steady. The other sat, ears raised, head tilted, waiting. He didn't speak, didn't move, because finally he understood the worst part. One of them wasn't his dog, but it wanted to be.